Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Design Recharge. I'm your host, Diane Gibbs, and this is episode 319. This is a Saturday show, a special Saturday show, and we got two people in Europe, Andre, who comes all the time from Portugal, Annie New. I'm glad to have you, Annie, and you are in England, Warrington, England, and then Josh Ash in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. I don't know why I had a problem. Amy in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Adam in San Diego. So I'm excited you guys are here. As you pop in, you can just type in the chat. Make sure your chat thing says all panelists and attendees. Then that way we all can read everybody. Everybody can read your stuff. So we are going to get started. Here's the thing. Hebah does so many things. She's so good at so many things. But when she dives in, she dives deep. And she gets done, she gets things and she figures things out, and she's such a great problem solver with this. Well, when she was looking for a job, when she was fresh, pretty out of school, she'd been out of school for about a year. She was working in Florida at a TV station, right?
When I was in Florida, I wasn't working at a TV station. I was working out of the university at a agency within the University of Central Florida.
Okay.
And I was about to graduate and I was looking for a job.
And so you took it to LinkedIn. And this was how many years ago?
2015. Oh my God, it's been almost 5 years.
Yeah, almost 5 years. So what month was it you were looking?
I started looking in March, April. That was kind of, I had wrapped up my senior portfolio and I was going full on looking for a job. I did not want to graduate without having something in the bag.
So here's the other thing. A lot of people aren't quite as driven as Hebah, but what I want you guys to get out of this is that really it's about making relationships. She didn't expect to get a job on Friday if she started on Monday. So this was something, again, she started March, April. She knew she graduated in May. So this was something she knew she was building. But she also, there's no quick, easy fix. But there are some cheats that we're going to talk to about, some things that she learned that now maybe you don't have to go through so many other iterations because she did learn these things. But here's the thing. It takes time. It's just like any relationship, even a friendship. It takes time. It takes time. You need to spend time with these people online. They need to see you and trust you and know what you're willing to do, because sometimes they get inundated with so many resumes and letters and emails that things get lost. So you have to be repetitive, I believe, not annoyingly, but we're going to talk about that. So we're going to dive in. You really use LinkedIn in a bunch of different ways, I think, that really secured you going from Florida, East Coast, Atlantic Ocean, yeah, sort of, all the way to San Diego, a whole West Coast, right? So with that, what was the, were you on LinkedIn before that?
Okay, so I kind of want to touch point on some of the things that you talked about. When my whole journey started maybe a year or two before. And you're right, there's multiple factors that come into play. I've always been on LinkedIn. As soon as that, I was introduced to LinkedIn, I started my account. But when did I ramp it up and I kind of started using it to try and look for a job? It's literally 2 months before I started, before I actually graduated. So I always had my account, but you can't just have an account and you can't just request to the people that even though I think there's an etiquette with LinkedIn that I kind of broke the rules on because I didn't know that etiquette existed, and it helped me a bunch. So
to break the rules?
Oh my God, yeah. So I didn't know that the etiquette is you can't be requesting people you're not working with on LinkedIn. And I was requesting people left and right, but people that I idolize. So I've always been on LinkedIn. I've made connections on there ever since I had my own online magazine. I use that to link with the different publishers and the writers and the editors. But then when I switched focus to UX design, I know this is going to sound not so great because these are not just connections or friendships, but we have other social medias, right? But LinkedIn was supposed to be just for work. So what I did was I curated my LinkedIn. I got rid of everybody who was not in my field. And then I rebuilt it from scratch. So I started focusing on my inner circle, who are going to be my colleagues in the future, which are my classmates, then their classmates and their friends, the ones that they introduced me to. But then I wanted to take it to a different level. So with LinkedIn, it's all about perception, right? Who are your friends? When somebody goes to add you, the first thing that it shows them is, who are you linked with? Are you a first? Are you a second? Are you a third? That's very important.
With somebody that they know, right? You have a
somebody
connection.
That they know.
Yeah.
And because of the unspoken rule that I didn't know about, if I'm friends with somebody that they know, because, in LinkedIn, you only request the people that you know, then they'll assume that they know me. That automatically adds to my credibility, right? So what I did, and I think this was.
But here's the thing. I just want to set the stage just a little bit. You are super credible. You had started your own business. You did, you were amazing you're amazing designer. You don't let anything stop you. You dive in deep when you want to learn something new. Your work is really, really good. So it's not like you're just this creeper trying to be friends. People could look at your website, or they could look at other things that you've done to see that they wanted to be friends with you. It was, and because Annie's saying, yeah, there's a lot of spam people on there, and you kind of have to like dig in to see if this person. So it's not like Hebah is a spammer. She had built a great reputation already from the things that she had done. And really, you were just being able to, because you had built something, you were able to use that to your advantage to then make connections with people that you wanted to make connections with. You know what I mean? Because if
so let's take it a step
anything,
back. Let's take everything a step back. First of all, let's kind of give everybody a little bit of a background about who I am and what I do and all the things. I think we kind of like skipped that part.
I know we did.
We're so excited. We're so excited about LinkedIn. I'm really excited about LinkedIn. Excuse me, I'm getting rid of a cold. But so my name is Hebah. I'm a user experience designer, but for the last about 12 years now, I've been a student of design. So I started off in architecture. I've done architecture for 5 years. Then I went into graphic design, and then I am a self-taught user experience designer. I've been doing user experience design for years now. And recently and we'll talk about that, later in the episode, but I'm slowly learning UX research to kind of like be well-rounded. So I have all of this experience. And when I was graduating from graphic design school, I had already been a designer for about 7 years. I've been freelancing. I worked internationally, worked nationally. I was working at an agency. So I had the experience, and I had the resume. But how was I going to bring that to the forefront using LinkedIn? What I did is, when I removed everybody that wasn't a part of UX, because that was the focus that I wanted to get into, I looked at the tools that LinkedIn provides you. LinkedIn is, I believe, is a CV. So based on my understanding, the difference between a resume and a CV is a CV actually tracks your whole life, while as a resume is just a quick summary of what you've done recently, right? So LinkedIn is your CV. You go in there and you write everything, not just your job, and the location and the company and how long you were there, but you need to write what were your responsibilities. That's what strengthens your LinkedIn. When you go in there and you add those sections in there, that strengthens your profile. And not only just adding your description and everything that you've worked on up until you graduated, or like, let's just say from the beginning job. The great thing about LinkedIn is you actually can add links to some of the works that you've done for each position. And one of my recent features that I like a lot is people giving you recommendations, actually writing those recommendations, so that if a prospective employer wants to learn a little bit more about you, if they see that somebody who was your manager, somebody who was a previous employer has written you a recommendation, automatically all of those things add to your credibility. So instead of them approaching you, asking you for some references, they already have that. That's already given to them without them asking. So those are things that I done to strengthen my profile. And one of the things that I also wanted to do, preparing for the idea of starting to approach people, is I wanted to create an image. I wanted to create a profile image that was unique and to the point. Everybody on LinkedIn had a professional headshot, which is great. You know, it shows that you're human. It shows who you are. It kind of gives them an idea of what you've done. But I wanted to create an image that showcased my creativity. And if you guys notice my profile image, has become kind of like my icon. It kind of represents my brand. That is an image that I put everywhere.
It's memorable, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's very unique to me, and I've used it on all of my social medias, and so I put it on LinkedIn as well. I also started curating all of my social medias, so any content that I was putting out there only talked about the field that I'm in. Right? I add a little personal things here and there, and I think that also adds to, it helps people understand if I fit into their culture, which is important, right?
Like what? Like what would you say? And where would you put that? Like
so
in posts? Or
yeah, so in posts, and not on LinkedIn. I haven't done that on LinkedIn, but if somebody, if I request somebody on LinkedIn and they go look for my, Instagram or Twitter, I make sure that Twitter only focused on, UX and career related information and my field related information. Instagram talked about my side projects, and it kind of incorporates my fun side and my life side and my social side. And then LinkedIn just focused on my career. It was purely just resume and making connections through there. So now that you guys have like a little background about me and the foundation that I've created, the profile image is very important, because the first thing that people see before they accept you is your profile image. And then the strategy behind connecting with people that make you seem like they know you at a personal level, right? So, and then connecting with the right people. So I didn't just want to connect with somebody that I've spoken with before, even though going to conferences and going to meetups and going to AIGA meetings and creative morning meetings were essential for me to at least start creating friendships. But once I started connecting with the people that I already knew, what is the 7 rule? Remember, like 7 people connection?
7 degrees of separation.
Thank you. There you go. Yes. So with every person that I connected with in real life that added me on LinkedIn, there is 7 other people, that I became closer to, right? So the next step was looking at the big agencies in the US. Before I even started.
I want to go back real quick, because you said something that I want to make sure we know. I want to know what you're talking about. So you said to the right people. And I think, so I'm already taking notes. I got it all. I'm going to have to flip over this piece of paper. So connect with the people that you want to be aligned with, is right. Mm-hmm. You said the right people. Well, what is the right people?
The right people for me. So at the time, I was still trying to figure out, am I going to do graphic design or am I going to do UX design? I didn't really understand what UX design was. I was slowly learning it. But the first thing I started to do is connecting with people who are known in the industry. So if you go to my LinkedIn, I'm actually connected to Jessica Walsh and Debbie Millman.
You wanted people who had good reputations in the industry, ethical, very good people, strong people, but also good business owners, entrepreneurs. So
they represented me as a person. Like, this is what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
Like I connected with them, the people that I aspired to. So before I even connected with them, I had to connect with people around them that were in the industry. This is going to sound very stockish. It's not. It's literally, I would go to the agency's website. I would go to their about page. I would see who's on there. And what's beautiful about LinkedIn, if you have your first and last name, you plug it in and you look for them, right? But then I came across the how do you know this person question. And, where they ask you, okay, give us their email or their phone number so that we can make sure that you guys are connected.
This is the prompt LinkedIn when you say you want to connect, and then it says, how do you know this person? There's a pop-up box that comes in, and there's like 3 things. Can you put in their email? They're an acquaintance. I don't know them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
what would you put?
As a techie person, okay, so there was a bug in LinkedIn on their mobile app. Oh my God. I don't know if they fixed it. I don't know, but I started adding them on my phone, and it would through the app, and it worked. Some people would accept and some people wouldn't. And whenever I wanted to connect to someone really bad that I've heard them speak or I've seen talk for them online, I always, always, always added a message. So when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, it provides you the opportunity to send them a small message. So I would let them know, I really loved your talk. I learned so much from it. Thank you so much for the time that you've provided with us. Sometimes I'll ask a question. Sometimes I'll say I would really love to connect with you, virtually. And a lot of times the people that I leave messages for, they accept my connection,
So at this point, back in March of 2015, how much time are you spending trying to connect with people and making messages and doing, because this seems like kind of time consuming.
It is time consuming. At the time, you got to keep in mind, I had a spot showcase that I was preparing for. I had a senior showcase that I was preparing for. I had how old was Aiden? Aiden was 4-year-old. I was working 20 hours a week. There was a lot that I was doing, right?
But you knew this was important, so you made time for it. So you would do these little things when you were in traffic, or when you were at all times, or would you have specific time during the day that you did it?
Yeah, I was never good at assigning time periods and then doing the things that I need to do during those time periods. I literally, instead of watching TV or, on a break, if I'm having lunch, I know that doesn't sound very practical, but I'm a mom. Time is extremely precious. So anytime I found little pockets and I didn't have much to do, I would just take advantage of that time. So
what was the smallest pocket you think you used?
A good 10 minutes, a good chunk, a 10-minute chunk is not that bad, because what I would do is I would go to an agency that I respected, or a company that I respected's website. Let's just say smaller companies have the About Us site, then they have 20 people on their team. I would go and I would look for the UX designers, or the visual designers, or the UI designers. I would look for them, and I would look for them on LinkedIn. I would sometimes go to their portfolios and I'd see okay, do I like what they do? So I was very specific. I didn't just add anybody. That's why the whole spamming thing doesn't really apply here, because it was very strategic, right?
So wait, so I want to ask one more question. So
sure.
I mean, I have lots more questions, but
sure.
What about, how did you find the companies that you respected? You were on the East Coast. So how did you find things so Annie's in Warrington, England. How does she find somebody in America to work with that's a company that's reputable? What was on their website? Was there a trick even? Because that's part of the research too, was the before you go to LinkedIn.
Yeah, Google is your best friend.
Okay.
Google is your best friend, but I think going to somebody's portfolio, you can't just go to an agency and you go to a website. You go to a portfolio, you see the companies that they worked for, or who are their clients. Do you like their work? Maybe their work is not that great and it doesn't align with what you do. You're trying to connect yourself with people that align with what you do, that have similar tastes as you. How are they going to like what you're doing if they're not doing something similar, right? They have a similar style. I think I never thought I had a style. And then when I look at my work, I'm very minimalist. I'm to the point. My designs are clean and to the point, and showcase to the user, okay, there's this one button that you need to press and you're going to press it. You know what I mean? So
would you would you find
Go
people
ahead.
on like Dribble or Behance or other kind of Instagram and then just search them and then see where they worked and then go back that way? Or would you
Excuse
go
me.
to agencies, or you would search on Google certain hashtags?
No, I would actually say design agency in New York, design agency, and what are the San Diego design agencies? When
Okay.
I was looking to move to San Diego, I strictly used Google in the beginning. And
So
then as people started as I started to get to know more people, like for example, when I searched for communities in San Diego, I was able to find a Slack channel that was called, I'm still a part of it. I'm actually very active on that channel. It's called the San Diego Digital Designers. That was the way I was able to find my first job. Like it was a post on there, right? For in San Diego.
So
But
one thing I want to point out. So
yeah,
Josh Ash in Philadelphia, he doesn't
mhm,
just, if he's doing freelance work, he does amazing illustrations. He works at a
yeah,
university, but he also does freelance. He's a great illustrator.
mhm,
Branding for anyway, like sports
yeah,
branding things. So
yeah,
if he wants to do work for a new team in Chicago, or he wants to do, it's a team in Des Moines,
mhm,
and like Annie or Andre, you could actually, what I think I hear is a key thing is that she picked out a specific city. And
mhm,
because that's, Google does that differently. So you're a San Diego designer, a New York, whatever. So this way, instead of just doing design agency or
yep,
branding, like just specifically topic, be specific about the location. It doesn't mean you have to live there or work there. You probably haven't met many of those
mhm,
people from that Slack channel, but you've
no,
been
yeah,
present there. And so it
mhm.
doesn't matter. It's about being present and consistent and sharing quality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Google, the more specific, the better, you know? And even though like San Diego has hundreds of agencies, I still was only able to find close to like 15 on there, but still that's a lot. But before I even was location specific, I was still building my LinkedIn. Like before I was thinking about that, I was thinking about my LinkedIn itself and creating the credibility around it. So one of the companies that I was looking at was like Pentagram. Pentagram is huge. I actually tried to link myself with all of the senior designers, the partners themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very successful in doing so. So that added to the credibility of my LinkedIn. Now, the next step after that, what I started doing is before I knew, because even in March, I wasn't 100% sure that I was going to be moving to San Diego, so I was looking at also jobs in Orlando, and just by my current connections, I learned that there's something called tech recruiters, that are local. So I started, a couple of my friends told me what their names are on LinkedIn. And then I went to that company, the tech recruiting company, and I went to their employees, and I connected myself with the recruiters themselves. What's great about connecting with the recruiters, they use LinkedIn heavily. So they're always posting about job offers that they have available. So now I built my credibility. I'm connected with the recruiters. I see what job offers are there. The first job out of college that brought me to San Diego, I was able to get it through LinkedIn, and I worked for CBS. And then when I was looking for my next job, one of my previous coworkers in CBS posted on LinkedIn that she was looking for a UX designer. So I reached out to her. Not only was it helpful that I worked with her before, but the fact, we had lost touch, and then I saw her post on LinkedIn, it helped me, like having that access. I would have never known about that job offer or that job opportunity if it wasn't for her posting it on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. Okay. So,
So,
I want to ask this. So Annie has a
uh,
great question, but I want to ask one question before I do Annie's comment or question.
mhm,
So if you, the thing is that you can't just go on and never come back. You are literally reading posts, you're
active.
connecting, right? You're not just consuming or trying to sell yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
also like you're seeing what other people are posting and you're connecting. So is that as important on LinkedIn as it is on Instagram? Oops. Oh, we lost her. It's too hard of a question. I don't know what happened. Well, Annie's question was, I wonder if LinkedIn differs. Oh, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lost like a good chunk of what you said.
Okay. So,
you were saying you were active, you were connected. Yeah.
So, and you were reading posts and you were commenting. How important is that compared to like commenting on Instagram? Is it just as important, not as important? What?
It's very important. So there's I prefer direct messages than just like leaving comments. And one of the things that I do is every time I get a notification that somebody's celebrating an anniversary or celebrating a new position or I don't do birthdays. I object about the birthdays on LinkedIn. It doesn't make sense. I think they need to get rid of that. Like, I don't know. But it's a good excuse to kind of like start a conversation, right? So I always, send people messages, direct messages. Congratulations on your new position. Congratulations on your anniversary. If I have a question or if I'm interested, I'll ask something. But if I say happy anniversary for 4 years to the same person, and LinkedIn shows them the history in our direct messages, one day they're going to be curious, especially if they're looking for someone and my title says UX designer. You know what I mean?
Long game. It's a long game, right?
It is a long game. And if you notice, Diane, like I'm very much about interpersonal relationships. So like public stuff, I'm not a big fan of, but like, one-on-one is I take that not just in personal life, but I also take that on in the digital world too. So I prefer to have conversations, in DMs. Sorry, I keep putting things in quotations, but I think it's hilarious. In private messages, I think having conversations there, asking questions, actually show curiosity. If you think of people, if sincerely you think of somebody who has this high paying job, who's well respected in the community, has all these accomplishments, if you look at that person and you think about them as a human being, if you think about them like they have problems, they want empathy, they want somebody to care about them, and you approach your conversation that way, oh man, you increase your chances so much to get a response. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Annie has a question. So we have a couple of people who do a lot of they're freelance, or they have their own business, right? So Annie is a pattern and service designer, and I said, well, maybe you could connect with creative agents, so people who are finding work for you. So it's kind of like a recruiter, but for not necessarily for going to get a job. So she'd like to get more freelance work with service and pattern design and illustration. So do you think she should research areas of the industry to target for LinkedIn? What would you suggest?
I think that she needs to start posting her work on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's what you need to do. You need to start posting your work on LinkedIn so people already are seeing the things that you're doing. Maybe do a 100-day challenge or something. And as you are connecting with those creative agents that you are recommending, Diane, when they go out and they want to show people, they'll be like, here, look at her work. And she is dedicated. She's creating all of this. She's consistent, So already before they even approach you, you have a quality. You've set up expectations for them, right?
I love that idea.
I think that's very important. For me, it doesn't apply for me because I'm always looking for full-time positions. So having a portfolio is different. But for someone who is freelancing, showing that you are consistent, showing that you are the quality of your work online at a steady pace is the best way to go about it. Building your community on Instagram, or building your community on YouTube if you want to do YouTube, or even LinkedIn. I think that is very important.
My favorite way to build websites is with the Elementor plugin. It works with almost any WordPress theme, making almost any theme invincible. This plugin has changed the way I've been able to design websites and the speed at which I'm able to do them. This plugin is the Elementor plugin. Where other visual builders have fallen short, Elementor just uses common sense, and it's so easy to understand and implement. If you've tried the free one and you're ready to purchase the Pro, you can use this affiliate link to purchase the plan that's right for you. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/D, Elementor. Okay, so I have another question that's kind of related, because I think about a lot of people are these entrepreneurs, or they're doing these, it's like freelancing, but you're running a business. Mm-hmm. So if Andre does a lot of comics, or he makes comics for people who are teaching kids about history or science or things like this, right? So same thing with Annie and her work with surface and pattern design. You've got to think what are companies that use surface and pattern or create surface and pattern designs. It could be that you do something with fabric or textile, Eddie Bauer, or people who are making sheets, or I don't know what your style is, Annie. Feel free to put your Instagram in the chat. But here's the thing, like connect, just like Hebah was connecting with UX design agencies or places that had UX designers. Find maybe where other surface and pattern designers, it's really important for you to align. Just like she was aligning with Debbie Millman, it's important for you to align with other surface and pattern designers, or get on forums. But then y'all are all competing kind of for the same jobs. But what you can do is you can look back at their history and see who they worked with, see companies that you might not have thought about, and then it might take you in new directions as well. I think because one of the questions I had that I didn't write down for you, Hebah, was do you think LinkedIn works differently for freelancers or people who have their own businesses, or do you think it's different for illustrators? Either one of those?
No, I think LinkedIn works for everybody. It's a place for you to find work. I want to take a step, kind of like a little break, and kind of talk about the different points that we've discussed so far that are very important. First, connect with your peers, your inner circle, and their peers. The second one is connect with your idols. That's very important. The third one is connect with recruiting agencies, right? The fourth one is you go to the company you want to work for, and you go to their employee section and you look for HR. Find their HR people and connect with them. Find their the team's general manager and connect with them. Okay, when for freelancers, if a company is looking for a designer, they're going to go to HR and be like, hey, find this as a designer. HR is going to look into the community that they have. So connect with the people that you know, connect with your idols, connect with recruiting agencies, connect with HR and general managers for the teams that you want to be a part of. Okay, these are very important. So if you take anything out of today, these are the 4 that you should do. And if I can think of a 5th one, I'll let you know. But through our conversation, they'll come to me. That's kind of how I did it. Like this is how I started. I started off, I connected with my friends, and then I connected with my idols. That built my credibility. I connected with the recruiters, especially like recruiters that do tech. And then, because that's the industry that I wanted to get into. And then when I started looking at the companies that I am in, so now I'm in San Diego, now I'm looking at companies that I'm in, and I know I want to do, for example, in-house, not just agency. Okay, how do I get in-house? Like, how do I get into the UX team that's in-house? Okay, I need to look for HR. I need to look for the general manager or the team manager and connect with them directly. So then you do that. Every job that I've gotten has been by me contacting somebody on LinkedIn that I knew was on that team. It's always been that way. Wow. It's always. Yeah. I mean, I put out my resume. I've done multiple interviews, but the fact that they knew somebody that I knew, or someone, we were connected somehow, and we were on LinkedIn, like LinkedIn made it easy for me to connect with them or like send them a message instead of looking for their emails and stuff. You know what I mean?
It also becomes that I really think it's important that you see the interconnectedness. You see, because we tend to be incestuous to some extent, not in a bad way, but meaning we hire people that we know. We hire people that know somebody that we know, because
Mm-hmm.
it is a sensitive industry, right? We're very
Yeah.
empathetic. We're working closely. We deal with very big things that are making businesses or changing lives, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more about if somebody can vouch for you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's more about that, because when you're hiring somebody, you're committing to that person. It's like getting married. Okay. There is nothing worse than hiring the wrong person,
Yeah.
especially if they're the wrong culture or they don't have the talent or any of that, because you are stuck with that person until either they decide to leave or they've done enough damage that you have enough like reasoning to actually let them go, you know? So, you know, the last time that happened in my experience, it took us 2 years to get rid of that person. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? One bad decision can create so much chaos, and so much damage had already happened because of you know, one person's decision. You know what I mean? So I think the reason why this industry specifically, I'm sure I'm sure it's part of other industries too, but I've only seen it in ours because I'm a part of this industry. But the reason why we look for people that we kind of know or somebody knows them is because they can vouch for you. They know that you are doing a good job, that you know, are a good person, you're really talented. Yeah, your portfolio shows all those things and your resume shows all those things, but who's going to speak about your personality? Who's going to speak about, like, okay, how do you do well working in a team? Are you a good leader? Are you a good mentor? Are you receptive to feedback? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why.
So Annie also had a question, and then we're going to go jam in on my questions. But she had a question
Okay.
about she's not able to make it to a lot of in-person events. What would you tell somebody that they should do to kind of combat this? I mean, if you can be strategic, I think, and go to one in-person event, I think would be really helpful. A year, if you can do that, but be
Yeah.
strategic on which one you go to. But what would you tell somebody who has that kind of issue? There's not a lot of events in their area.
Well, okay, so I'm going to tackle both the events, going to the one event, because I'm a mama. I didn't have time. My husband at the time was working full time and, you know, was coming late hours. I didn't have a babysitter to watch the kids. I actually took my kids, I still do, to design events when I can, especially if, you know, if they allow it. But to answer your question, and then I'll answer that one, is online communities. Be active on online communities. Find Slack channels. You know, I'm part of multiple Slack channels. I'm part of a local Slack channel, I'm part of a national Slack channel, and I'm part of an international Slack channel.
Just
Those are
three Slack channels. Can you explain? Just because
those are
Annie doesn't know
those
what
are the ones
Slack
that I'm
is.
active. Those are the ones that I'm active on.
Okay.
I'm part of multiple ones that I go to when I need resources. Like, for example, I'm part of the ADA Slack channel, Ally, you know, but I only go on there if I have a question that relates to work. But the ones that I'm really active on, and, you know, active means I jump in every once in a while. Like, I'm not on there every day, but so that's what I recommend. So a Slack channel basically is an online community. Some people can do Facebook. You know, I'm just more comfortable on Slack, but you can be part of a Facebook community that does UX design or freelance, or, you know, you can actually find, for example, Charlie Marie's YouTube channel. Like, she has a community online and she talks about freelance and she talks about design, and you can find like-minded people that are in that community. So find an online community if you can't go in person, but not just, you know, pop in there and like be general. Actually talk to people one-to-one. Like, if somebody wrote a comment that you relate to, like, respond to it. Maybe take that conversation privately and ask more questions. You will be surprised as to how many people are willing to give you their time and help you out. Like, the best thing about the design community is we are very helpful. You know, we want to give you that time. So the second portion of that is if you are only able to go to one design event a year, you better prepare yourself before you even get there. So the things that I would recommend that you do is, research the speakers. If that event actually has built communities for that year's event, participate in those communities. Make sure that you have your resume, that your portfolio is ready. Make sure that you have your card. Don't just give them your business card. Actually make your business card an interactive piece. My business cards, all of them, I have 4 questions on my business cards that I give to different people based on the conversations that I had with them. The question will give them a reason to reach out to you if they need you, you know what I mean? Or if they love the conversation that they had with you, or if anything, that question makes you memorable. Prepare yourself before you go into the conference. Make sure that the people that you're speaking with, instead of speaking with a lot of people, speak with a few and make that friendship. I still am connected with people that I went to a conference to in Boston about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We've created a personal relationship, like friendship. You know what I mean? So if you can only go to one event a year, then make the best out of it. Actually dedicate yourself to it. What I did, okay, here's another LinkedIn thing. Let's just talk about the conference that I went to in Boston. It was the UI22 conference at the time. The people that I met there, every single person that gave me a business card, at the end of the night, I went on my computer, I went on LinkedIn, I found them on there, I connected with them and left them a small message that reminded them of the conversation that we had.
So that night, even though you were super tired probably.
Yes.
Wow. So
oh
that's
my God,
commitment.
exhausted.
So it just takes a little bit of time, but go ahead and do that. Wow.
Yes, 100%. You're there. Do it. Like, you're there. You're not just there to learn stuff. You're there to make those connections. It'll make you memorable. Like, there's people that I still talk to, and not because I'm looking for work or there's an agenda there. No, I'm trying to make this connection with you. You never know what could happen in the future. You never know if they need freelance work. Like, I try to do freelance work on the side, if somebody needs it, they know to come to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely about that. LinkedIn is a great place to do that.
All right. So I want to ask a question just in case. Did you ever use the paid version of LinkedIn, or everything it sounds like is free? These are free versions, right? Did you ever use the paid?
When I first started, so March to April, so I cleaned up my profile. I, beefed it up with information, added my resume, added my portfolio on there. You can actually put a PDF version of it on there. I took advantage of the 30-day free, all premium, the premium
access,
package. Access. And what that did is increased my ranking, and it allowed for people who are looking for people like me, like recruiters, to find me instead of me looking for them. And that's actually how I made a connection to interview for Disney as a Disney Imagineer. Yeah. So definitely. I would definitely recommend taking advantage of the 30-day premium, especially if your profile is still young. You don't have that many connections.
So I want to just tell you what the prices are. This is today, November 2nd, 2019. They have 4 different price tiers. Premium career is what I think that you're getting the 30-day free. It's $30 a month. If you're really actively looking for work or for maybe even freelance, that is, I think it's $1 a day, right? Premium business is $59.99 a month. And the other's $29.99, whatever. It's $30, it's $60. I believe that's if you're a business, and then you're able to post jobs or get your job up in a different way. I don't really think that's what we would need. And then there's Sales Navigator Pro, which is $80 a month. Again, that's probably not us, but if you had a product you were trying to sell, things like that. But for most of us, $30 a month would be a good investment if we're really trying to get some more work or new clients or new connections.
So Diane, the only reason I would recommend a premium, not for the features that they give you, like they give you like 10 in-mail for free or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would not recommend it for that, because you can do the in-mail for free when you're sending a request. Okay, you can do that. So they're already providing, you already have that. I would only recommend it to help increase your profile's visibility.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't need that if you are connected to a lot of people and
Right.
and you're active. So I think there is an algorithm there that you have to crack. I'm not aware of the algorithm. But if you look at it, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with how active you are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
are you always on there? Are you connecting with people? Are you talking to people? Are you responding to messages? Are you commenting on stuff? So the more active you are, the higher the visibility of your profile is. So
All right. So just so I'm clear, I only gave 3 tiers. The other tier is for recruiters, and it's like $120 a month. Okay. So you were using pretty much the free, and then you did premium for just 1 month. Did you get the job in that 1 month?
I did. Yeah.
Huh.
That's how
Okay.
I got to Disney. Yeah. So I got to Disney, and I had to say no to Disney. Long story. It's because I had to move to San Diego. As we made a family decision to move to San Diego,
Mhm.
and through like other channels, which obviously we've already discussed, I was able to find a job in San Diego. Once I got to San Diego, every single job ever since has been through me talking to somebody on LinkedIn. You
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what kind of things, when that March to April, what kind of things were you posting, or were you really just connecting and not posting? I mean, you told Annie maybe have a 30-day or 100-day challenge so that people can see. Were you also
Yeah.
doing something like that?
I wasn't. At the time, the article feature wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to take advantage of that today, I would highly recommend that if you have Medium articles, grab your Medium articles, copy paste them into the LinkedIn article feature and post
Mm-hmm.
them on there directly. That will help tremendously for sure.
So
Yeah,
more
even
of
if
those,
you,
like how many a
yeah.
week would you say, or once a
I
week,
once
once a
a
month?
week.
Okay.
I would do once a week. Once a month would be good too. It's just to show people. I think it's good. You want quality over quantity when it comes to articles, because when somebody comes to your profile, if you have 3 really good articles, you don't need more than that. You
So
know, you don't
then,
want to spam people.
right.
It's a theory of choice, right? If if you present somebody with one option, they are more likely to take that one option than when you present them with 2 options, right? So if you have 50 articles, that's just way too much. You know, they're not going to go through all of them. But if you have 3 maximum really good articles, I would look at it that way. So I would think of the content that you post on there as more of a portfolio than it is of like a social media,
Okay,
you
so
know?
two questions about the articles. So,
Yeah.
and this is what I think. So, if you're looking to get a job at a place, then I would write articles that would be maybe solving questions or solving problems that they would be looking to solve, not just posting portfolio work. Is that what you would think?
I would post articles that would showcase your design thinking
Okay, so my
mostly. I would
process
focus, exactly.
and
So
how I
I would
solve things.
focus on, yeah, so I would focus on the industry as a whole. I would not be
Mm,
specific to the place that you're looking for. When it comes to a portfolio though, if you are building a portfolio and you have you're an illustrator and you're a UX designer and you are a photographer, I would create a portfolio that has those 3 tabs. And when you are applying to a job, I would link them to that specific,
tab.
tab.
Okay.
If you are doing a PDF portfolio, I would create a PDF portfolio template. And that's what I did when I was applying for jobs out of school, because I was trying to figure out, am I doing graphic design? I'm doing UX design. So I had a portfolio template that I actually was able to change the projects that were in it based on the position that I was applying for.
Perfect.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend.
Fred had another question about the article. So so sometimes you want backlinks. So say you're doing a blog, you want people to go to your blog. I have some conversations about this on a regular basis. For SEO, repeated content isn't always the best, but what you can do is do a part 2. Do the part 1 on LinkedIn, right? And then send them to the part 2. Answer the second part of the question. Is that what you would recommend as well? Do part 1 on LinkedIn or Medium?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great strategy. I would also, if you have that one article that you think is already excellent, you've put all the time and effort, customize it or summarize it, and then have the rest, link them back to the full, piece. So you're just using, LinkedIn to kind of like bring interest, and then you can send them back to the original one. Yeah.
Any length on those, you think, word count wise?
I'm not going to give a number, but like, if somebody can read something under a minute, it's always perfect. Like, I'm not going to sit there and read the whole thing. I would definitely recommend sectioning out your article into titling out different sections. So if somebody just wants to scan, they have the ability to, or skim, they have the ability to do so. If they are interested more in a point, then they can actually like sit there and take the time to read it. So yeah.
All right, so we've
talked content strategy.
I know this is a question I think for people, again, maybe more who are freelancers or have their own company, and maybe they're trying to find clients. So if I have my own business and I'm trying to find other entrepreneurs that are not designers, right? That I'm trying to connect with so that I can build their websites. And maybe I love working for photographers that are doing real estate photography or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
How would you suggest I go about finding new clients on LinkedIn? Is that something I can do?
Yeah. So you let's continue with the photography, and you're looking for clients. There are, oh goodness. I'm sorry. Let me just think of the words. Like, there are agencies that build commercial real estate agencies that you can look for, and you can connect with the people that are there. Because if you look for a real estate agent, real estate agents are looking for photographers all the time. So look for the people that are going to be looking for you. Yeah, so that's what you need to do.
The other people in their network, you got to think about the people that they're talking about. You've got to have those connections as well.
Yeah.
So then they come to you because they're like, hey, I need a website. And they're like, hey, I know somebody, right?
Exactly. So try to get yourself out of just your own community. It's great to connect with people who are in your community. Try to look even in the community, diversify the people that you're connected with. Like, I'm connected with illustrators, and I'm connected with typographers, and different design disciplines, because even when they're looking to build a website, let's just say if somebody's looking to design an app, you're an illustrator, but you're looking for somebody who can do UX design. They're going to look for the people that they know that do UX UI design, right? If I'm building an app and I'm looking for somebody that can build me an icon library, I have a few people top of mind that I can contact that are friends of mine, because they do illustration and they do that kind of thing. So diversify the people that you're friends with. If you're a photographer, don't just connect with photographers. Right. You're going to be competing with them, the chances of somebody who's doing, for example, illustration, to connect me with a client that needs UX design is higher than if it's a UX designer. They're not going to send me the client. They're going to take the client,
Right. Okay. So Andre had a question. He's been posting to LinkedIn when he has new work. Is that a good idea? He doesn't get a lot of response though. Do you think it's more about building that network, or do you think
it's more about building the network. Do not think about numbers. Numbers are not important. Comments and likes and all of that is not important. What's important is when somebody goes to your account and they see what you've been posting, what does that look like? It's kind of like your newsfeed. or your Instagram feed or your Twitter feed? What does that look like? They're not going to look at how many people liked it. They're not going to look at how many people commented on it. They're going to see the work itself.
Right.
If there's a lot of it, and if it's good quality, that's what they're good. That's going to be more impressive than how many people commented on it. Like, they don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more about being regularly in their feed, I think. But you have to have a network to do that. All right. So this is a kind of fast question. We have 5 minutes left. All right. So in our field, we regularly have to change positions to start learning something new or do something new, right? Or to manage people or something, right? But sometimes there's opportunities to move within a company, like bigger companies like Google or Amazon or larger companies, right? Do you think that that's a good idea, moving within? Do you think it's an advantage? Or do you think it's something that in our industry, we should really go outside of the company?
There's positives and negatives. If you are looking for the experience, and let's say you're making less pay, moving to a different department to, do something else, you might not get that pay increase. So you got to keep that in mind, because they are going to probably adjust your pay based off of what you're already making. They're not going to adjust your pay, at least based off my experience. They're not going to adjust your pay based off of what that position actually is willing to offer. You know what I mean? But it is easier to move within a company, especially if the company actually is loyal to their employees. It's easier to move within a company to learn something new than to get a whole new job at a new company. You don't know anything about it. Right. One of the things that I'm going through right now is, this is something that I'm experiencing right now, and I actually had to change positions from one company to a different one. I'm interested in UX research now. That's something that I'm really interested in, and like conducting interviews. Like, if you followed my podcast, you know that I do that on the side. But to do it as a living, if it wasn't for my side project, which is the podcast, and my UX design experience, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to get the position that I'm in now. And the position that I'm in now, they're looking for my UX design expertise. So I'm hired as a UX designer, but being surrounded by other researchers, I'm going to learn a lot. So what happens is, I'm going to be getting both the design experience and the research experience, and then together that's going to make me a more well-rounded designer.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. So we have I got to get these questions answered though. So I'm so sorry. So
I have time, Diane. If you have time, I have time.
All right. So one of the things is that you were asked to do Adobe Live. So this is within our industry, but it also, so you've been asked to speak at conferences. You've done these things. So how do these things that are outside of your company, how do these things work so Andre's done booths at like Comic-Cons or things like that, or book publishing. He's done tables. So, how do those things look good for your resume and are these things you're adding to your LinkedIn as speaking gigs where you've showcased, if you had a table somewhere, is that what you would say?
So I actually have a position in my LinkedIn. If you guys go to my LinkedIn, you'll see it. And I think it's called speaking engagements. On there, I have what I've been doing. So most recent to oldest, I have the name of the engagement, a short sentence of what it is, and the link to it if I have a video, obviously. So take a look at that. And so how do I get those opportunities is a whole nother story, but I can quickly talk about it. If you don't ask, you don't open yourself up to a chance for somebody to say, yes. So asking increases your chances by 50%. Let's just put that on the table. That's the first thing. The next thing is the community. If it wasn't for the community, I wouldn't have gotten Adobe Live. But before getting Adobe Live, even if somebody I know recommended me to them, if I already wasn't prepared, I'm always working on my portfolio. I'm always working on side projects. I'm not waiting for myself to be ready to want to go to a different position in order for me to start working on my portfolio. My portfolio is always under construction, always. My side projects are always ongoing. You know what I mean?
Is this something, so this goes into the next question. Is this something that you are committing time to each week, each month? Because it does seem like it's hard to keep up with, but it's really important to keep up with it instead of waiting to the end of, 5 years or 3 years. So how do you manage that to keep up with your website, your LinkedIn, how do you keep up with that?
It's a lot of work. I'm not going to say that I do it weekly. I do it maybe once every few months. I definitely dedicate a weekend to it. It happens as a spur of a moment where I'm like, you know what, I need to sit down and do this, but when I'm working on projects, I'm always in the back of my mind, like, okay, Hebah, make sure you take notes because you're going to need this for your portfolio. Like, okay, this is the problem we're trying to solve. This is the solution we're looking at. These are the steps that we're taking. I try to list those out. And if you have like a Google Doc, or, you can use Google Drive or whatever to keep those notes on there as you're going through a project, it's so much easier to come back to and just take that content and then plug it in. You know what I mean?
It's a super great tip. It's a great tip.
Yeah. Do that as you're going
through
the project,
right?
Exactly. And then and as you're going through the project, if you're getting presentations, if you're putting together mock-ups, make sure as you're doing the project, you're putting everything into one file, that you have access to later. So that's really important. When you're starting to work on your portfolio, you're not looking for things. Everything's already in one place, and you can just paste it onto your portfolio itself.
So just file management is really important, and not throwing things
organized
away and keeping. Okay, so that's great. And going ahead and maybe doing mock-ups while it's fresh.
Yes. And then, so this whole idea is like preparation meets opportunity. So I try my best to always be prepared, so that when an opportunity comes my way, I'm not saying, hey, can I get back to you guys after the weekend because I need the weekend to build my portfolio? You know what I mean? It's more like, oh, you need a link to my portfolio? Here you go. I'm missing a project here or there. I'm more than happy to add that project or show you that project in our next meeting or something. You know what I mean? So I would definitely recommend that.
It does show your commitment and also your organization, your professionalism when you do that. All right. So the last 3 are pretty easy.
Okay.
How do you recharge, and what inspires you?
How do I recharge? Man. So I'm an extrovert. I recharge by seeing my friends, going out, doing things that, I don't know, experiencing new things. That's kind of how I do it. But sometimes, like lately at least, like taking time for myself, maybe an hour. I've been writing in a self guided journal that I can recommend as well. So that's been really helpful too. So I like doing that. That helps me kind of reflect. It helps me, think about the positive things instead of the negative things that are happening in life. And then surrounding myself by people that truly love me is so important to me. Like, I love to be around my friends. That's important.
Awesome. Okay. So then the next one is, what advice would you give your younger self? You can relate it to finding a job, or is there a good time to start using LinkedIn? Should they wait, or should they get started today?
Get started today. Just one step at a time. I would definitely highly recommend that. I'm a big believer in one step at a time. Have that big goal. Do not assign a time period for it, but start taking those smaller steps. And what you'll notice is your so close to your big goal when you're doing that, and you're not being overwhelmed, you know, and it's so much easier to accomplish or celebrate smaller goals than one big goal. So waiting to celebrate once you accomplish a big goal is such a pain in the butt, but to always celebrate small goals like actually boosts your self-esteem and your confidence, and, you know, removes self-doubt and all of that. If I could give myself, you know, my younger self advice, let's talk about my younger self that was in architecture school.
Yeah,
and
would
had
you
to
have still
switch.
gone through architecture school?
No, I'm so glad I didn't. Oh my God.
So,
You know,
but
I'm
if
a
you
big
were
believer
your
in,
younger self, you go. You're a big
okay.
believer.
I'm a huge believer in everything happens for a reason, and it always, 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 always happens for the best.
Mm.
And even though I was devastated when the housing market crashed and I couldn't find a job as an architect, and I had to switch careers, look at me now. Like, look at what I'm doing now. I'm doing what I'm more passionate about. Like, I don't think I would have thrived in the United States as an architect as I'm doing now as a UX designer, you know. And I'm not saying that I'm, you know, this idol, but like where I'm at right now, I'm like really happy and content, you know what I mean? So I don't think that that would have, so as to give myself advice that I give myself like 10 years ago or something, I would tell myself, like, trust the universe. The universe knows best. It's advice that I keep reminding myself even today. Whenever anything happens that I feel like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? I'm not happy that this is going on. I just, you know, I go with it and try my best. It's like the most difficult thing to do, but like try my best to remind myself that there's something better that's coming out of this. So just be patient, you know?
Yeah. So what
you
I
go
was going
ahead.
to ask was, would you have still gone through architecture school?
If what?
If you could give yourself advice, or would you have just gone straight to design?
See, I was forced into leaving architecture school because of like the housing market and like, you know, all of that. So I think at the time, if I had the opportunity to move forward with architecture, I would have moved forward with architecture. That was my passion. But because I was forced out of it, and it was this like horrible thing, you know, like I was completely devastated because it was my passion. It was the thing that I really wanted to do. I think I would tell myself back then to just be patient and have trust in the universe, because now I see what happened, you know?
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Last one is what's next?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just started a new job about a month ago. I got it through LinkedIn. I actually went to, you know, I use LinkedIn for recruiters, and I use LinkedIn the same way I was using it. But I was interested in a local company. I'm actually working for a design agency now. That it was a reputable agency. They have their methodology advertised on their website. It's something that I really want to learn. So I actually reached out to one of their designers there that used to work at my previous company. I actually replaced him twice. I replaced him at my old company, and I replaced him this time on this company. Complete coincidence. It's just a funny story. Yeah. So I reached out to him. I've never met him. I've never worked with him. But my coworkers did, and they spoke highly of him. So I reached out to him via LinkedIn. I was like, hey, I see that you guys are looking for a UX designer. I really am interested in this position. I really want to work for this company. Would you be open to, you know, speaking with me and hearing what I have to say? And they brought me in the next week, and the rest is history. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Very lucky, very fortunate. Thank you.
So I just want to let y'all know all the links are down below. The links for the ads that'll come after this will be down below. But you can connect with Hebah on a bunch of different ways. Definitely LinkedIn. I shared in the chat, but I'm going to share it right again verbally, and I'm going to share it below as well. So it's Hebah each. What? That's another letter. HebahByDesign.com. That's her website. And then on LinkedIn, it's everything is Hebah by Design. Right? Hebah by Design. HEBAH by BY and then design. So Instagram, LinkedIn, Dribble is just Hebah. Twitter is Hebah by Design, and YouTube. You can follow her YouTube channel at Hebah by Design as well.
Yes, and if you guys are looking for my UX portfolio, it's hebah.me, and that one is still under construction, just FYI.
That's great. It's always, though, right? Always under construction.
Yes.
All right, I'm writing that one down. I'm going to add that to the site as well. And you guys can always access all the show notes, and there's a transcription of this whole thing with links on rechargingyou.com/319. So I will see you guys. I'm hoping maybe to do a Wednesday show for you, just to kind of recap some things that I learned in Bend, Oregon, and some things that I taught. And I hope that you guys will join me on Wednesday for that live episode. And then after that, we're going to talk about time management. So it's really good that we did this with Hebah today. Now we have all the stuff to do, right? Now we have the stuff to integrate on a regular basis. But now we need to do some time management. And we've got somebody in Europe doing this one. So I'm excited to bring Demi on, and he's going to talk to us about time management. So you got 2 weeks ready in front of you. Hebah, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and a great November. I can't wait to talk to you in December. And we will see you guys next week.